The federal government's new digital platform streamlines key services, citizenship processing, business permit applications, and expatriate quota approvals, ensuring transparency and faster service delivery. Through this one-stop online solution, both local and foreign businesses can now manage compliance more efficiently while accessing support for legal operations in Nigeria. Now, one of the major components is the expatriate quota system, which makes it easier to obtain and manage work permits for foreign employees, ensuring companies can hire global talent while remaining compliant with immigration laws. Also of note, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in collaboration with NIBS, has introduced the non-resident bank verification number, NRBVN. Now, this initiative was developed to simplify the account opening process for Nigerians in the diaspora and enhance remittance tracking and efficiency. Now, to help us unpack the implications of all this development, I'm joined now by Segun, Principal Partner of Woodridge and Code Consulting. Segun, thanks for joining us on Business Insights.
Thanks for having me, Justin.
All right, let us look at all of this now. From an analyst viewpoint, what does this new platform signal about the government's approach to digital transformation?
Well, I mean, it's laudable. It's the way to go. It's where we should have been 20 years ago. So it's a good thing, and we've got to commend it and ask and hope that we maximize all of the benefits of putting the business of government, the services that government provides to its customers, so to speak, in the digital space where the world now exists. So, you know, in addition to a lot of the other digitalization initiatives of this particular minister and this particular ministry, this is another one that is very welcome. One would hope that we are able to take full advantage of it, that we're able to keep our very well documented, very well known issues surrounding efficiency and corruption out of this. But that remains to be seen, you know. So that's a cautionary note, but absolutely, this is the way to go.
All right, we'll talk about the efficiency and the transparency part in a bit. But looking at all of this now, how critical is digitizing citizenship and business processes to improving Nigeria's ease of doing business ranking?
Well, I mean, especially when you look at it from the perspective of attracting investment flows into the country, this could make a significant difference, because what this is supposed to do is to make those services that foreigners that are seeking to do business in Nigeria will need to avail themselves of, to make that available in a more seamless, more efficient manner, possibly right from the comforts of the offices, whatever part of the world they're operating from. So it's very important. Hopefully, it should lead to faster business processes. So talking about the ease of doing business, this should move up a couple of steps in the ranking and make us a more attractive destination. And let's not forget also that even Nigerian businesses, Nigerian operators within the Nigerian economy also take advantage of expertise from outside the country. This again will make that process a bit smoother, hopefully, and therefore encourage more people to bring in this expertise and know-how from outside Nigeria into Nigeria, which eventually should result in greater technical expertise in some of those critical areas that we need that kind of expertise locally. So again, good initiative.
All right, before we talk more about the expatriate quota system, but I want to assess your opinion on the key advantages. I know you mentioned in passing, but let me just maybe get a broader perspective from you. What the platform offers to both local entrepreneurs and, of course, the much needed and foreign direct investments.
Well, so first of all, I mean, like you said, the portal would help manage the expatriate quota thing. The portal also helps manage citizenship services, people that want to become Nigerians, people that want to, either by naturalization or by any of the other routes available, people that, maybe they want to renew their work permits, so different from expatriate quota. So all of these services are critical services when it comes to interacting with the business community outside the country, with the investment world outside the country. So making this available digitally, making it efficient, making it seamless is absolutely critical to smoothening the barriers to entry into the Nigerian economic space. So very good move.
All right, I'm more interested in the nation's global talent competitiveness. So still talking about the expatriate quota system being a major feature, do you see this influencing our nation's global talent competitiveness?
Ideally, you would say yes, if it works the way it's supposed to work, because when you bring expatriates into any country, the hope and the intention would be that it should be a temporary move and invariably result in technology transfer of expertise, which then becomes yours and then improves your competitiveness, on the global stage. So, if that happens, then yes, this should help. But then again, at this point and at this stage in our national development and, the journey of Nigeria as a country, you've got to begin to wonder whether we should still be relying and depending on external expertise, external technical knowledge, and all that. So we've got to begin to look inwards. There is none of the countries that have, scaled from being third world or, developing country into advanced economy by depending on external technical expertise or any kind of external knowledge. You've got to develop these things internally. So whilst this might be good, as an interim, maybe transitional process, we have to start looking inwards. And we've been on this journey, of depending on expatriate knowledge for too long. So I think that as much as this is good, on a strategic, medium to long-term global competitive basis, we have to start doing things differently. We've got to become far more deliberate in building local internal capacity, no matter what field of knowledge we're talking about.
All right, let's talk about some challenges that we are really known for, and let's see how we can circumvent that. Considering our history with bureaucracy, do you think this initiative addresses the core bottlenecks effectively?
I mean, it will remain to be seen. One can only hope. But if you learn from experience and from recent experience, for that matter, then there isn't a lot of basis for being too optimistic in that regard. There are so many government services that have been supposedly digitalized in the last 5 years. And you just find that to a very large extent it's still business as usual. Passport renewals, renewal of your driver's license, registration of business names at the CAC, and the list could go on and on. A lot of these services have been digitalized. But what you find is that the functioning of those platforms in practical terms, on ground, in reality, there's just some bottlenecks that I believe are deliberately thrown into the mix to ensure that the status quo is maintained, and that status quo benefits the people that are at the back end of these services. So it's a big challenge for the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Ojo, to protect these new services from those old habits that our civil service and bureaucracy has tended to display over time. So we will have to wait to see how this one survives that. But what you likely will find is that you will initiate the process quite all right, but you may run into bottlenecks that will then need you to get some sort of middlemen who will then help you reach into the back end and then resolve the issue. So I hope that doesn't become the case, and that's really entirely up to the people that are implementing these initiatives.
Okay, let's talk about the non-resident BVN for a bit now. And, some of the challenges we have with our BVN locally here now. But how might the launch of the NRBVN alongside this platform reshape diaspora engagement and remittance flows?
So if you are a diasporan and you're trying to invest in Nigeria, maybe for the first time, for example, you need to do business registrations, you need to get some expatriate quotas, you need to get work permits for people that you are bringing into the country to run your business or to oversee your investments for you. Then, the citizenship platform launched by the Ministry of Interior would be good news in the hope that it does work the way it's supposed to work. And then you juxtapose that or put that side by side with the non-resident BVN. Again, good news. It's all steps in the right direction towards easing the process of attracting funds flows into the economy. So it's got to be commended that all of these initiatives have been put into place. The practical implementation and effectiveness of these initiatives, however, is something that we all have to keep our eyes open for, interrogate thoroughly, and ensure that we do get the benefits that they are meant to deliver to the country.
All right, but then I'm still worried. We've talked about bureaucracy, but I'm still worried about some potential risks in terms of maybe technical, operational, or even regulatory. Should the government be mindful of this as it rolls all of this out?
Yes, absolutely, and I've said that, especially if we move the conversation to the NRBVN initiative, it's a good thing. However, there is a slew of regulatory bottlenecks, regulatory hurdles that still stand in the way of ensuring that Nigeria actually achieves the objectives of creating this new platform. So the CBN says, for example, that on the back of this alone, they expect diaspora remittances to grow to $1 billion per month. Currently, the official diaspora remittances, the one that gets into the official system, is somewhere around $4.5 billion every year. So the CBN is saying they want to triple that, from 4.5 billion per annum to 12 billion per annum, on the back of this initiative. For that to work, it's not going to happen just off the back of the NRBVN alone. You've got to then begin to look at the regulatory foreign exchange control policies of the CBN that are a disincentive for people wanting to participate through the official channels. You've got to relax those controls. If you don't, the NRBVN will improve remittances into the official channels, but it won't be by the quantum that the CBN is targeting. So we really do have to look at those regulations, and those legislations around all of these initiatives. We've got to loosen them up and allow a bit more freedom for people to operate.
Okay, let us talk about the alignment of this particular development from a policy standpoint. How aligned is this development with the government's broader economic reform agenda?
Well, it's very, very much aligned.
Okay.
And in fact, I would say absolutely critical. Because one of the problems that we do know that we face with regards to the floating of the Naira, for example, is that the supply side of the equation is still stunted. We still do not have adequate supply because, we still rely heavily on crude oil revenues to drive our foreign exchange accounts. We need to get more inflows, foreign exchange inflows from other sources. And one of those critical other sources is foreign direct investments, foreign portfolio investments, and critically, diaspora investments, diaspora inflows. Nigerian diasporans across the world send in about 20 billion every year, standard. Sometimes it hits 25 billion, sometimes it comes down to 18 billion, but on the average, you would have about 20 billion US dollars coming into Nigeria. That is a massive amount of money, but the majority of that money does not come through the official channels, and therefore doesn't impact, the official exchange rate of the naira. So this NRBVN should help, bridge that gap, bring more of that money into the official channels, which will then impact the supply side in the official market and make things improve with regard to floating of the naira. So let's hope it works out well.
All right. So now, for platforms like this to succeed, uptake is very key. What steps should be taken to ensure awareness, trust, and accessibility, especially among the SMEs?
With regards to awareness, what the CBN has done right now is nowhere near enough. You can't just do a press release, have this thing circulate in the media for a couple of days and then go to bed. There has to be very well orchestrated, well-planned awareness campaigns. The CBN has done this on a number of other initiatives in the past, so they need to do that with regards to the NRBVN. And the Ministry of Interior also needs to encourage Nigerians to take full advantage of the Citizenship portal as well through proper campaigns, maybe through the the National Orientation Agency, who has improved in their interactions with the public in the recent months. So there's a lot of work to be done from official quarters to make Nigerians aware of this. But then again, there are some elements of this initiative that I think we need to revisit. For example, the $50 fee that diaspora Nigerians would need to pay to have their BVN. I question that. What's that for? This is a service that is being provided to Nigerians. The BVN registration in Nigeria is free. So why are Nigerians in the diaspora required to pay $50, which is about 80,000 naira? Wow. So I hope, and the reason I'm pointing this out is, if the objective of the platform is twisted, if it's not right ab initio, then the process will fail. So if this is an income-generating thing for government, if it's a revenue-generating platform, then I'm afraid we've gotten the objectives wrong, because the cost of running this service, in my mind, from what I know, is not significant enough for you to charge $50 from potentially about 5 million Nigerians that are living in the diaspora. That's a lot of money. All right. And I think we need to revisit that.
All right, very quickly, as we round off now, Segun, in 30 seconds, looking ahead, what benchmarks should we watch for in evaluating the success or impact of this digital initiative as we wrap up now, Segun?
Typically, Nigerian governments tend not to be very big on accountability and tracking of initiatives, especially with regards to the Nigerian public. And I think that hopefully we can see a difference this time around. Right. We should be getting figures maybe quarterly or half yearly from both the Ministry of Interior and the CBN on usage numbers, on registrations for BVN, for example, from diasporans, and on the number of transactions that are generated on the Citizenship portal, periodically, so that we can then track and see, this thing is gaining traction and we're taking full advantage of it.
All right, many thanks, Segun Sopitan, for sharing your valuable insight and helping us unpack the broader implications of this digital shift.
Thanks for having me. Have a nice day.
All right, as Nigeria moves from queues to clicks, it is clear that embracing smart technology is not just a convenience, it is a catalyst for economic transformation. The success of platforms like this will depend not just on innovation, but on execution, trust, and inclusion. Now, digital governance is the future, and the future is now. Until next time, stay digital, stay innovative, and stay in business. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for being there.